Hey guys, Splice here, showing you the differences between the PS3, in this case the DualShock, and the 360 controller. Now, the PS3 controller has a few key issues. One of them, which I've already fixed here, the triggers. As you can see here, I have the real triggers on, which makes it so it just feels better in your hand. Without the real trigger, when you pull in, just the way it moves, it causes you to push the controller downwards, which actually shifts the entire grip in your hand ever so slightly, which, when you're making precise control adjustments there, any pressure there will move it, and therefore make it more difficult to maintain your accuracy. So let's just slip that back right on there. The other problem is your thumbs running into each other. When I just pick this up, like that, it naturally wells into this part of my palm, which is where it should naturally be able to go. Because of the size of the controller, my thumbs naturally go like that. So I have to pull them back like that to not have any hand cramping, but then my thumbs are arched up like this, which is even more awkward to me. So the natural approach here is to put my thumbs like that. But let's say I'm going to strafe right. Oh, hit my thumb. Let's say I need to aim left while doing that. Oh, look at that. That's what happens. I believe most people's approach is to play like this, basically having your thumbs stick on top like that, which to me is the most awkward of all the approaches because it just feels very strange. It feels like you're trying to balance your thumb on top. Or you could hold it out more like that and kind of put it into that part of your fingers right in there. But even then, that feels strange too. And your thumbs still come out and hit because you have to hold your wrist in more like that. Or you could hold it out like that and put it down more so your pinkies are dangling out here. And even so, your thumbs are a little further away, but even so, there's just not enough real estate there. And the problem is, the back of the controller, there's just not a lot there. It just gets very flat back there. There's not a lot of area to grip. When you grip it, there's just a lot of dead space back there. All in there, there's empty room right there, empty room right back in between my fingers in here. But the thing is, the 360 controller, that's not an issue, because it just fills in much more nicely. You're gripping onto everything there. Your fingers slide over everything right there as well. And the analog sticks are obviously placed further apart, so there's no way your fingers could possibly hit. Now, another problem with the DualShock that I personally find is that the analog sticks are just very bulbous. And to me, that is basically against what you'd want, because it allows your thumbs to slip off more likely. I mean, it's not going to happen that often, but regardless, it is kind of a design problem in that it can happen. Same way with the triggers, too, which is why, there you go. But with a 360 controller, you have these little grooves in there, right in there. So when your thumb is moving over them, if you happen to lose grip, your thumb just naturally moves into that little area in there, which I think is a better design entirely. And then the triggers on the 360 controller are actually triggers, and it's where your hands naturally rest. When you just pick this up, this is where your fingers naturally go. I mean, your thumb is on the X button, which kind of makes sense, and it's not a far cry to put it down there either. And your left thumb naturally kind of falls on the stick as well, which is where it should be. And your fingers naturally fall on the triggers too, which for a system that's mainly for first-person shooters makes a lot of sense. Now I understand the PS3 also is not mainly a first-person shooter system, but look at their main games this console generation: Resistance 2, Killzone 2, Metal Gear Solid 4, all games with strong shooter elements if they're not just a shooter straight out. And to me, I mean, no one uses the triggers as the main function. It's always these two buttons right here, which to me doesn't make a lot of sense. When I pull the trigger on a gun, I'm not pushing down on a button, I'm pulling down on a trigger, which is how it should be. It's a lot more natural. So having the real triggers on there, it makes it feel a lot better, but it's not definitive, because again, your thumbs are still here, you're still doing that when you're trying to move around, and that's just no good. And that's my opinion on the PS3 controller.